Hello everybody, welcome to Paranormal News Desk Ireland. My name is Caroline Barry. I am a novelist and researcher in all things paranormal. I am delighted to be joined here today by my first guest, so you're very welcome to the show. And
thank you very much.
Both of these people have had UAP sightings, UFO sightings and strange paranormal experiences. So I'm really delighted. I wanted them to meet one another because we live in the same area and their stories are extraordinary. So I'm going to start with you, Anthony. I'm going to move the mic over here because I've had such a problem with sound. Talk to us about June 20th, 2007.
Well, June 20th, 2007, I was cutting silage late, and it was around 10:30, 11 o'clock at night because it was raining the next day, so we kept on going. And
so how many of you were there?
There was 5 in all. There was there was 5 people in all, 3 bringing them in, 1 bale and then 1 wrapper.
So was there 5 tractors on the go?
5 tractors, yes.
Wow,
yeah,
okay. Yeah. You've a farm in North Westmeath.
That's correct, yes.
Yeah. So you're bringing in silage.
Yes. And
it's 10:30 at night. Is there a bit of light?
There was a good bit of light. You could see everything. Yeah, it was a good night actually, and actually it was unusual to have 5 tractors. Usually have 2 lads bring it in, but we had an extra lad for the chain. That's what happened that day.
Okay.
And anyway, around 11 o'clock we seen a strange ball of light in a neighbour's field.
Okay, so how far away would that be? Would it be here from to the edge of the wall?
It'd be more than that. It'd be probably double that.
So you're talking what? I don't know how to put that into yards. Would you know how to put that into yards?
300, 400 yards.
400 yards.
Yeah.
How big was the object?
Well, 2 to 3 foot. Yeah.
So this big.
Oh, that, yes.
And was it totally spherical?
It was spherical, yes.
No oblong areas?
No, just spherical, yeah.
Was there a middle to it?
No, a ball, that's it.
And was it shining and did it look metallic?
It looked organic, live. What I thought, it had a silvery blue look.
It had a silvery blue look. When you say organic live, do you think like a plasma?
Well, it had a live look to it. It had a life of its own. But I thought eventually, I originally thought it was a ball, originally a metallic ball, but it had a sort of a life of its own, moving around the place at a quick pace.
So I'm going to just distinguish things here. You're saying it's travelling with intelligence.
It is, yeah.
But did it look metallic?
Come to think about it, it looked metallic, yeah. It had a green look, yeah. But I thought it sort of had a fuzzy look to it, a live look to it, as I would call it.
Oh, interesting.
The sort of blue or silver, yeah, but it was metallic, alright, but it was sort of,
So is it like a force field almost?
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Fuzz.
Yeah. But it was, for it went by live, it was moving around with intelligence.
And how
very swiftly, yeah.
How high up off the ground?
Roughly around from 7 to 10 foot around that.
So not that high?
No, not that high, no.
That's interesting, isn't it? And okay, so you see it and because you had a long sighting with this. How long did you see it for?
Well, we seen it from 11 o'clock until 12:30 at night. An hour and a half.
And it stayed in the field?
It stayed in the field, but was moving up and down behind hedges, up and down, moving one side of the field to another, going up, you know what I mean?
And do you think it was chasing something else in the field?
I had a feeling it was looking at us or observing us.
Okay,
so
you felt it was observing you.
Yeah.
Are there, in the field itself, are there trees behind the field?
There was, no, it's only a hedge. There's only a hedge between me and him, and there's a hedge across the other way. Okay. There is trees on the side of it, all right, but...
Okay,
yeah.
And where do you think it came from?
Good question, I don't know.
Did you see it arriving, or was it there?
It just came out, well, I just know it's there.
Okay,
yeah.
So the rest of the people who were taking in the silage, did they notice?
They sure did, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And did you all stop and jump out and take photographs?
No, we did not. We kept working. Unfortunately, they were looking at us and driving at the same time and barely avoiding each other. Yeah.
Okay, so you nearly had near misses.
Yes, yeah.
With each other?
Yes.
Because you're looking at this thing.
Correct, yeah.
What do you think of that?
Sounds familiar to me. So.
Does it?
That's good. That's good, thanks.
Yeah. So
That's
before I
good.
get on to you, Sophie, this sounds familiar. It's about 7 to 10 foot off the air. You feel it's watching you, but it's also rushing around the field.
It's running around
Did
the
it
field.
go away from you at any point, or was it
It
kind
was
of
sort of maintaining the same sort of level.
same level, but
Same
but
mode
dodging?
same mode of a level of movement. You know what I mean? At the same area of movement. No, that's right.
Did it move like an insect?
Not really.
Okay, because you know the way insects can be erratic.
Yeah, I thought
some
so.
UAPs look erratic.
Yeah, it had an insect move around. As I said before, what I meant by organic, I had even though I had a metallic look to it, I felt it had a live movement, like as you said, like an insect. That's the way it would have looked like. And yeah,
you
so
felt it was intelligent.
It was
and
intelligent.
You felt
Yes.
it had moved of its own volition.
Yes. Yes.
Do you think it noticed you looking at it?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I'll be honest, I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before I get on to Sophie here, I'd like you to tell me what happened when you finished up that night.
Well, the lads were clearly scared. To be
Okay.
honest with you. They wanted to stop early.
And what did they come over to you and say, "Can we stop"?
Yes.
Did they say it's because of that?
Yeah, well, they kept asking me what I was.
And when you said,
I haven't got a clue. So that's what I told
So-
them. Yeah.
okay, and then did you tell me afterwards you had a cup of tea and then everybody began to say, what was that? And
Well, there was no. What happened was that we just went home. We're going to go home for today, but they just wanted to get home as quick as they could.
they were frightened.
They were frightened. One man wanted to lift home.
Okay, so you had to give him a lift home.
I sure did, yeah.
And he wouldn't drive his own car.
Well, he left the tractor there.
Or he'd rather than drive the tractor,
Yes,
he'd go home, he felt vulnerable.
Yeah.
Did anybody say, is it aliens?
Well, they didn't know what it was. The one example they tried to put across is the lights from Mullingar, but unfortunately that's not exactly...
The lights from Mullingar?
Yeah, but that's exactly what they're putting across, which is absurd, because Mullingar is off another way.
And not even is it off another way, that isn't behaving like the lights from Mullingar. It's
No,
not static and it's not a
It's
glow.
not. And I remember it was quite an easy thing to look at, because we had great sunlight up to that time. It was great light in the sky.
So it was really bright.
It was really bright. It was easy to see. There was no...
And it's glinting.
Yeah, we can see what it was. We can,
Can you remember? Now I know there was a lot of noise with the baler and the tractor and
Of
stuff.
course,
But when
yeah.
all that was cut off, was the UFO still there or the UAP still there?
It was there, yeah.
When the noise was stopped.
It was, yeah.
So when you got together, did you all stand and look at it?
No, they couldn't get away quick enough.
Okay.
That's what happened. I couldn't. It was quite funny to think of it now, but they just could not get away quick enough.
Okay. So was it there when you were leaving?
Yes.
So you all left the field.
Yes.
You took your friend home.
I did.
Did anybody talk about it and say, well, did anybody say, they didn't say it was an alien, they didn't say it was a fairy?
They just asked what it was. Didn't know. They had no idea, so just wanted to know what
And
it was.
did anyone say to you, I'm frightened of that?
Yes. One said that's a bit frightening. I better get home. Drive me
Okay.
home. I said, yeah.
Okay.
They were definitely disturbed by it. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Because I looked at it, and there was nearly a few incidents, so they were definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you make of that, Sophie?
I think I've seen that too. Sounds exactly what I've seen. Like.
So, do you want to talk about your seeing of it?
Well, I noticed
I'm going to move the mic over here if that's all right with you.
for a couple of weeks I noticed it, but not moving.
So you're
at
now
all.
living in
Well, this was just when I was staying somewhere in Four.
4.
Yeah.
Okay.
I noticed it sitting like at the end of a row of trees, so it did, and for a few weeks it wasn't moving. I'd only see it at night time though.
And
I wasn't
yours
sure-
is twilight.
Yeah, it was night time. Yeah,
Nice.
After a certain time you see it.
And was it summer?
Yeah.
Do you think it was 2007 or do you
No,
think
this is 2020 and 21.
Okay.
Beach rides.
Yeah.
And did you see yours in a field as well?
Yeah. And yeah, I wouldn't move anyway, but like I was telling you before, I started using lasers. So when I pointed at the lasers, started to follow it, and that's how it started moving in front of me anyway.
So for a long time you just saw it hover?
Yeah.
And you saw it hover over a field about 7 or 10 foot off the ground or
But I'm
higher?
looking across like maybe two fields at it anyway.
And how big does it seem to you?
Well, to me, like looking at it from the 2 fields, it only looks small enough.
Oh,
but
like
it's
football
bigger.
to you, yeah.
Bit bigger, like, but I know it's definitely bigger than what I'm seeing.
Did it seem metallic to you?
It was just the light I could see. Do you know, it
Okay.
was just like the silvery light.
And was it round?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so you come out with your laser, your green laser, and you...
Yeah,
What
it just started following, but we'd done this then for probably months, you know, every time we see it, and it just go crazy following the laser light.
So in here, bit
Well-
so the camera can see you.
But like that, it only go like so far before it come back again. Then you know.
So would you
say
send it
movement's
far?
I try, yeah.
And would you go up and down with it? Would you play that way?
Yeah, I would go up and down, yeah.
And
But
it
it'll
would-
always come back to that same spot. Do you know what I mean? And
oh, interesting. And that same spot,
Yeah.
is there anything about that spot that seems particular to you?
Mhm.
Have you been to that
No.
particular spot? So maybe that's something we need to investigate.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Do
it's
you?
often turned off now, and a second layer would appear at the other side of the field.
Ah, okay. So it would.
exactly what I seen. He was moving so quickly.
So
Yeah,
yours
exactly,
is
yeah.
moving quickly, but you feel it disappeared, and then reappeared.
Yeah, I've seen them like move crazy speeds. too,
Okay.
you know,
Yeah,
but
yeah, that's-
this one,
yeah,
I've often seen turn off. and
Absolutely,
light up.
absolutely, yeah.
Okay, so what's interesting about that, as you know, is Leo Alessandro has 5 observables. The first is anti-grav. So you'd both kind of think it had certain anti-gravity properties. Did you see any form of propulsion?
No,
No. Did you see any
No.
form of? Did you hear any noise?
no, heard
No.
nothing. No.
Okay, so the next observable is high velocity. You'd both vouch it would move very rapidly.
Very, very fast. It'd be here
Yeah.
to one side of the room in about a second.
Okay, the
Absolutely,
third
yeah.
observable is there's no sonic signature, so there's no sonic boom. Did you hear a sonic boom when it moved?
Well, I was in the tractor, but when I was out of the tractor, I heard nothing.
Nothing.
No, I didn't.
All right.
No.
The fourth observable is cloaking or poor visibility or disappearing and reappearing. So you might not necessarily have had that.
Well, the first time with my father, I seen it disappearing all right, and it flew into the forest, right? But the second time, when the time I was talking to you there, I didn't see it disappear. I seen it for the whole duration.
So the first time with your father, so you've seen this ball
I
before.
have, yes.
Silver blue in colour?
Definitely silvery.
Silver.
Silver colour, yes.
So the first time you saw it with your dad, can you remember when that might have been, what
A
year?
year beforehand.
So 2006.
Yes,
In the same area?
yes.
And tell us the story.
We're driving late to feed the cattle around 7 o'clock in that night. I was seeing it was there, but this time wasn't there so quick. It flew back, it was then in the same place, but flew past the back of the tractor and off into the forest and disappeared.
So were you in the tractor with your dad?
I was.
And were you looking a different direction to your dad?
Well, he was sitting driving the tractor and I was sitting on the side of the tractor and I seen it. Yeah.
Okay.
I got more of a view.
Did it come from
behind?
behind you and pass you that way or that way? Or
It went
did it
behind-
pass behind you both altogether?
Yes, went behind the tractor and kept going and off into the that's where it went, yeah.
So, or do you have
From the same general areas I spoke with the first incident.
and
from
are
the
there,
same-
is there anything in that general area?
As I said before, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know anything about that really. I don't know what the story is, but I have seen it now and
Okay,
twice now.
I'm
That was
gonna
a quick
get-
one enough now.
so and there's an interesting story about mutilation that I want to get to in a minute.
Of course.
But the next one I want to go to, and I'm going to move the mic over because you're very soft-spoken, Sophie. Lean in so I can see you. So, Sophie, tell us about the night of New Year's Day 2020.
I had just come home. I went out for a smoke, and something caught my eye in the sky.
And is this in 4?
No, this is in Collinstown where I live.
Okay.
I just thought it was a star, you know, shooting star maybe, but when I started paying attention, I noticed like all the stars in the sky were going crazy, moving every way so fast.
Okay.
Most of all, nearly all the stars, you know, there's a few that wasn't.
So you were looking at the sky and it looked alive to you.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you say moving, it wasn't a meteor shower,
No.
was it? So you know what a meteor shower looks like?
Yeah.
They all come down or they all streak across
Yeah,
in a
no, these
direction
are
or they
just flying.
collide.
Mhm.
But now, did they change direction?
Oh yeah,
Okay.
they went everywhere.
Were they pinpoint? So they're far distant, obviously, because they look like stars, they're pinpoint. What happened? What did you do?
I just rang my parents.
Why?
I didn't know what to do, like, because I needed somebody else to see it with me, so I did for a start.
Did you think it was the end of the world?
I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
I had a feeling it was something like, well, aliens is what I go to straight away when I see something like that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know. I just rang my parents. My father came down. And he only lives at the top of the road. By the time he came down, it was starting to disappear.
And did he see it?
Seen a little bit, yeah. But he was just like, it's just satellites.
Okay,
It was.
because. And why do you think it wasn't satellites?
'Cause I've often seen satellites, and it was like there'd be one end of the sky and then in the next, and like you said, a second. Like, do you know what I mean? The
Okay.
speed of it was unbelievable, and then coming back and going in around each other and everything.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I did a little bit of research into this.
Mhm.
I somehow got onto a site that's run by the Essex Police Department. I don't quite know how, but they spoke about reports coming in of a lot around the same period. Now, not necessarily the same night, but certainly around that first week in January of 2020.
Mhm.
There's a lot of activity, and people were asking, was it satellites? But they had no way of verifying or knowing. Then I looked up the national organisation, there's a European one, and I noticed that people had logged a lot of activity. They put 30 to 40 kind of UAPs.
Yes.
They were wondering, was it Starlinks? So you'd have this little question marks, is it Starlinks? But we've all seen have you seen Starlink satellite?
I probably would have. I've seen satellites go around.
The thing about Starlinks, when they go up, they look like a chain of necklaces. It looks like a chain of pearls. So as you see it going up, it travels in a straight line. You've seen the footage. I showed you
I've
the
seen
footage.
it as well now
Yeah.
before.
So what happened? So basically what I'm saying is that it is being noticed and logged, but you discovered something, didn't you?
Oh, my mother sent it. I was researching it from that night. The minute I went inside, I was looking.
So
up
just
to
tell
see
me,
if
you
it
looked
was-
how long did you look at it for? Just the length of a cigarette?
Oh no, God! I was out there for 2 hours.
2 hours
Yeah,
and all this
no.
activity.
I had rang Daddy, and the first 15 minutes, Daddy came down and had kind of gone off, went a good bit, but it was still like a good few, flying around. I was just watching.
And he got bored? He went
I got
home?
bored. Oh, he went home straight away after he
He
said.
said, what
it
can
was
I do about
satellites.
that?
Yeah.
Okay, it's satellites.
So I was when I went in then for the night, I was just researching and I couldn't find anything.
So you got bored and you came in.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't as much as there had been initially. No. What did you find when you did your
Nothing.
research?
Nothing.
Nothing. And then what happened?
My mother sent me a comment from somebody on Facebook. It was a woman in Kildare. She had seen the same thing and she was wondering if anybody else did. I never got talking.
And how did she describe it?
Just she said, did anyone else see all the stars in the sky moving? And I think she said one night, the other night, New Year's.
So we've got to remember 2020 was, I think, a very interesting period. The Chinese had sent the drone to the dark side of the moon, I think on the 1st of January. Now, it could be wrong, it could be 2019, but I thought it was 2020. And we were just about to head into lockdown. But it's still kind of surprising, isn't it, that many people didn't see it, only you?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That is strange.
So now we're going to move on to a very strange experience. I want to talk about your cattle or sheep mutilation, and then I want to talk about your apparition that you had to set another witness to. Yeah. So we're obviously living in a UFO hotspot.
It seemed so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seemed so.
So I asked you this question now, Anthony, and I'm going to move this mic over again.
Of course, yeah.
Because my voice travels. But I asked you, after you'd seen this hour and a half long watching this UAP, you never saw it departing, you left.
I left, yeah.
I asked you if anything paranormal happened after that. Would you like to tell me what happened?
Well, 5 days after that, I found a dead sheep.
Okay.
Now, no big deal, you get them all the time. But this one was different from the rest. First thing I noticed was the dog was shied away from him. He didn't want to go near him.
For anybody who's watching Skinwalker Ranch, if you watch Skinwalker Ranch, they use dogs as biofeedback.
Yeah.
So they bring out dogs out with them to smell the air, have a sensitivity to things. So it's literally biofeedback straight away.
Okay.
So you noticed your dog's not going near this,
No, absolutely.
and that
not.
will be abnormal.
That would be abnormal, absolutely.
Yeah. I have dogs that sniff anything.
Yes, I know. It'd be interesting. No,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
That's not the first abnormality.
So the first
yeah.
abnormal thing you noticed was the dog's not going near that sheep. So what did you do?
Another abnormal thing I
Sorry.
noticed was a lack of scavenging.
So you went over straight away and you investigated
I
and
did,
you looked at
I
it and
did.
you went,
I was wondering why there's no scavenging, and usually when an animal dies about a night before, there is about a bit of scavenging, you know. From,
yeah, you can
you know,
see.
I'm beside a forest, you know, and it's you're bound to get it, but it's nothing.
So you'd get a fox or a badger
absolutely,
or
absolutely,
mink or
yeah,
something
yeah,
pulling at it.
yeah.
No. And then what else did you notice?
Well, I noticed the injuries were very strange.
So this is where we're getting into cattle mutilation. So
Yeah.
tell me about the injuries.
I'll tell you the injuries. Well, the uterus in the back was cut out.
Now, was it the uterus or was it the back passage?
The back, the back was cut
The back
out.
passage.
The back passage was cut out, yes.
Because
The back passage was cut out. So there was,
The
there was a
same-
whole big hole in my hair during the area. It was
so
cut-
in
it was
the
cut-
where the
cut
anus
out.
should be, it was cut
It was
out.
cut out, yes. That was gone, yeah.
So, as you know, Lyndon Moulton Howe, this is quite typical of cattle mutilation in America. The
Right.
back passage is usually gone.
Right.
What else was missing?
Well, the face was skinned back.
Skinned back.
Yeah, skinned back to the skull. Like, it was like
Was it peeled?
it was peeled back. Yeah, that's sort of peeled back.
You feel it was cut?
Yes, absolutely. It was too precise to be a scavenger. Not at all. It was.
Would that be typical of? Would they kind of go with the face scavengers?
Yeah, but this looked like it was cut off rather than the usual tears and bits over. You know,
Okay.
That's what I mean.
And was it like in a flap?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what I felt like that. Yeah.
Okay.
I asked the vet later on, explained the injury. He said, "Look, an animal would be that precise. It'd be a
Okay.
bit more rougher, and you know what I mean." That's what he said. And there was also two puncture marks beneath the udder.
2 puncture marks.
Yeah.
How big would they be?
Well, they were about 2 inches across around that. That wide.
That's big.
That's big, yeah. That's what
And-
yeah.
You mentioned no blood, but do you think that it had been sanguinated, or do you think, look, this was done very tidily, but there was still blood in the animal?
Well, there's very little blood around. That's what I noticed. There's no blood
Okay.
at all. Usually, you think that you're going to have something, but it's not. It was like it was bone dry.
Okay.
Yeah.
You did say the eyes were gone, but that can happen from
Well,
birds.
that could be for scavenging now.
Yeah.
You know yourself.
Although you did say nothing scavenged it. Was
No.
the tongue present, do you know, or did you even look that
I
far?
didn't notice.
Okay.
To be honest, I know.
But you felt, obviously with the back passage, did you feel that had been cut out?
Well, I looked at it. I looked at it. It seemed to be cut out. It seemed to be removed. You know.
Okay.
Well, that's not, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I looked.
And was that in the same area that you'd seen the UAP?
No, this is a different field. Now, that would be a field, the field where I've seen the one on
Yeah.
town bus, that'd be there. This field would be by a river right here. Right
Okay.
beside it. See, the field where I see would be here, and that would be there. So it'd be sort of
Triangulated, yeah.
anyway, yeah.
Did you hear helicopters around that period? Can you remember?
Not around that period. Later on, I did.
Okay.
I did, yes.
Because you've remarked on this to
Yes.
me that in the dead of night you hear helicopters.
I sure did. I heard them on 5 occasions.
Okay, so before I get on to your apparition, tell me about the 5 occasions.
Well, I seen a massive triangular UFO.
Oh my God, I'd forgotten that.
And,
Yes.
and they came
And this
after
is
that.
an horrific account to me.
Sure is. Yeah.
So, have you seen a triangular UFO?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So around the same area, do you think?
Collinstown, I would have seen that.
Yeah, the North Westmeath, yeah, the where I come from.
So
yeah.
what happened? What were you doing?
I was going home feeding the cattle. It was around 7:30 at night.
And you crossing fields?
I'm crossing the fields, yes.
Is it dark?
Absolutely.
What time of the year is it?
Oh, it's late in the year, October. Late
Okay.
October, yeah, around that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Crossed the fields, and I seen this object floating over me, and with no sound. I just looked up and seen this massive craft flying above me. Now, it was coming from there's the field where I seen the ball. There's the field of giant there. I came from that area, general area.
So you're in a hot spot.
Yes, a general area beside the field right beside where I seen the ball. And this craft floated over me, no sound as I said before. I flew in the general direction of Mulitation, the hills beside me.
Okay.
And
These hills matter, don't they?
the 72, so you must have seen the same, but
Well, I think we're at an area. There's something about those hills that matter.
there was something to do
So
with the
tell
hills.
me, you're in the
definitely.
middle of a field.
Yes.
How big is the UFO
Oh,
or the UAP?
Well, it's massive. God, it's very hard at the time to remember what size it was, but you're talking at least 100 feet across. It was massive.
Was it black?
It was comprised mostly of lights round the side of it, but it was black.
And with the lights on?
The lights are on, sort of flip-flopping from a white, red light going around. Well, if I was to describe it, it would describe it as comprised completely of lights.
Okay.
In the
Did
shape,
you,
but not
did you
much
see any with
structure.
lights?
That's what I've seen is the lights. I couldn't on the triangle one. I actually didn't see anything else but lights.
It was, yeah.
You just saw. You just saw.
the lights around it. Yeah.
Did you see stars through it?
Not that I can remember noticing, but.
So
it
did
was
the lights
definitely-
block out the structure and define the structure at the same time?
Oh yeah, it was just the lights.
Yes, yeah.
I
It was the lights to see. I defined it as a triangle, but it was the lights around it, but it was a dark structure with lights around it. But it was in the darkness of the sky, so very hard to discern an actual structure of it.
Okay, and,
Yeah.
and were the cloud? Was it a cloudy night?
Oh,
for
it was
you?
just pitch dark night.
Do you know what time of the year and what year? Sorry, I know you were saying October.
Let me see now. This would be around, let me see, around 2016.
Okay, and when for you?
I seen this only a couple of weeks ago. Then
Yeah.
I see this regularly. This one.
Okay.
And my partner.
Oh, and your partner sees
I
this one as
think it's
well.
2016, sure. I have to look back at my notes, I'm sure it's that around that
So,
time,
what I want to know is,
Yeah.
you're walking across the field. How near you is that big structure?
Well, the big structure, God, that's a good question. God, it wasn't that close. It was near enough to the ground enough. It would be about 50, 60 foot up in the air.
Was it directly over you?
It was going, it flew directly over me for...
Was there a sense of wind, heat, disturbance?
No, nothing at all.
Nothing.
Just no sound, no nothing. Just a floating thing. I just stayed in the field and I wandered off, and it kept going and off the general direction of the hills, and that's where I went.
And how quickly did it travel?
Well, it was slow enough now compared to the first item I spoke to you about.
Yeah.
It just flowed, it meandered around in a slow thing. It took about 5 or 6 minutes to get across
Okay.
a shortage enough area.
So did it pass directly over your head?
It did, and over my house, and yes, and all the way across.
So was your house dwarfed by it?
It would be, it must. Even the darkness, you're trying to make out in the darkness and the light and all that, it was bigger than the house, of course it was. Yeah.
As it passed over you and the lights are on,
Yes.
did the lights cast a light on the ground?
No, it didn't.
Interesting.
It didn't do, no.
Did you notice any apertures, like windows?
Not a bit of it, as I said, it was just pitch black, apart
Okay.
from the lights, that's all, and removing lights around, that's all.
Now,
Flashing lights, what I call them.
that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And it goes over in the direction of the hills.
Yes.
What's the name of the hills?
Well, I call it Mulitation.
Mulitation, do you know them? The Hill of Meal?
The Forest Hill and Wheel or something like that. Yeah, that's what I call it.
Is
Yeah,
there a
that's what I call it,
lake
yeah.
in front or behind or near them?
Well, not where I'm living, there's a lake, no.
Is there a lake near yours?
But at the end of the hills I'd be looking at, there's a big white lake.
White Lake, would that be more
I think
your
it's the
side?
White Lake.
That'd be more your side than mine now. Mine would be,
Why is it called
yeah.
the White Lake?
I don't know. See, there's two lakes on the road out this direction. I'm hoping I have the right one. There's one further to Oldcastle, but it's not that one.
Yeah.
This I'm not too sure. I think that's what it could be called.
So
Yeah.
you only saw this structure recently.
I'd see that a lot since 2020, but a lot higher up.
So
Not
you
as
saw
low.
it close.
Well, I best remember saying it's very hard to gauge the height of it above me. About 60, maybe around above 60.
It's very hard to gauge.
Very
Any
hard to
kind of
gauge.
measurable.
Very,
Yeah.
very hard to gauge. Could be higher than that. I thought it was around 60, 70, around that. I couldn't gauge the thing. I knew it was just above the tree line and nothing more.
And
That's how wild
did
was,
it
yeah.
disappear? Did the lights turn off?
No,
What
it
happened?
just kept floating off towards
And what did you do?
I went home. That's just true.
But you know, that's not unusual.
Yeah.
No. People have anomalous experiences, and again, like that, they just. What do you do with it?
I
You know,
just hope he wouldn't see me. They probably did see me, but
yeah. Did you have any missing time?
oh no.
No.
Because I know it was a 7:30 and look at it there. It was
Oh,
keep our
did you
time, yeah.
have any physical responses, like any rashes or burning or?
I don't remember that. But see,
Okay, I think you'd know. I think
I know.
I think
maybe,
you'd
yeah,
know if it
yeah,
had
yeah,
happened.
Yeah.
Whereas you've seen, and we'll get on to the helicopters. If we can't do it in this interview,
Oh,
we'll do it in another. But you've seen, why I'm interested in this, I'll tell you both now in a minute. But go ahead, Sophie. So you've seen something similar with this as well. You've seen the same thing.
Mm.
You see it regularly. Anything strange that you've noticed about that?
No.
Is this the same one that you believe was the Mothership?
No.
Okay, so let's talk about. Well, while I move on, I'm just going to say that one of the reasons that I'm interested in both of you seeing it is there was an article in the Westmeath Examiner, I think it was a year or two ago, And again, it describes the exact same object.
Right.
And it was seen by a couple in Mullingar.
Right.
She goes to take, she said they looked at it for about 8 minutes. They were in their bedroom. They looked out the window. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. The lights were going around it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
She goes to pick up her camera, take a film of it. The minute she goes to do that, the lights turn off and it disappears. It's almost as though she said, well, she was the one who remarked it. It's almost as though they knew.
I wonder if
They're
I took my
gonna
camera
capture
up, would it disappear too? I made
It'd
the
be
abortion, I
interesting.
suppose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't
It'd
know.
be interesting. Tell me about the night of the Mothership before we get on to the apparition.
That was New Year's Day as well, the 1st of January.
Okay.
That was just when I was watching all the stars, well, what I thought was stars moving. They just all seemed to be coming and going from this.
And when you say this machine or this mothership, was it a black object or could you see stars through it? And the reason I thought you mentioned at some point you could see stars through
Yeah,
it.
it's like, it is like see-through, but you know it's something there too, you know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
like, it's hard to describe.
Yeah.
And you
I
thought
agree.
it was built like a ship.
Yeah, like looking at one and see.
Like you could
Yeah.
see a hull. And you
There
go
was
ahead.
two lights one end, like headlights, and then there was just one the other end.
Okay.
So I don't know. Like it was just
And did
everything seemed to be coming and going to it at some point.
okay.
And I did cop it moving as well. You know the light and the two lights be moving with it as well. You know, not
Okay.
Was it
not very
slow?
far.
Was it slow or fast?
Just slow.
Yeah, same thing,
Yeah.
So
Okay.
very hard to get an image of a structure, but still
Yeah.
not very hard to get what the hell it is.
Especially when
Okay.
it's dark as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
So, but this is a different thing now to the big triangle. This is
Yeah.
a different ship. This was the night where all the stars, as far as you're concerned,
Mhm.
were busy. Okay. New Year's night. So definitely not fireworks.
No.
Not a meteor shower.
No.
No.
I've
Moving with-
often lay out with the kids and watch the meteor showers completely different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same here. Yeah.
Okay.
I know them.
Right. So let's talk about the night of the apparition. When did that happen first?
I think that was 2021. That was in 4.
And can you remember what year, or sorry, what time of the year?
I'm really sure it was summer.
I'm going to move this
summer.
mic close to you because you're very soft spoken.
I think it was
So
summertime.
hold that there, or if you're comfortable holding it. Well, I'll hold it so you're grand. So, summer, is it bright? What time of night is it?
Oh, this was late in the morning. It was maybe between 2 and 4.
Okay.
And from that evening, early that evening, the dog was just standing in one spot on the road, wouldn't, just staring down at something, barking and barking. He wouldn't stop. And he's a big dog, like his guard dog. It takes a lot to scare him. But he did seem afraid. But we went to bed that night anyway, and something woke up my partner. And when he went out, he started calling me to come out. And when I went out, I thought I seen him as a man walking in the field.
So how far away again? do you
Across the
think?
field, a full field, you
Okay.
know. So it was like a silvery, shiny white colour as well, so it was.
Now, the man, or was there an object?
I thought it was, first, like we thought it was somebody wearing something that was,
So it's still a person.
yeah,
You thought they were wearing a silver suit,
kind of, yeah,
like a spaceman.
almost. Colour.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
But
How
I
far
came
away?
very
Like,
far, it was across the field, like it looked like
but you
it was
could see him
small.
because he was luminous.
Yeah. But it started to change. When I came out, it started to change very quick. It was changing from the feet up. It was kind of morphing into a circular shape. But to me, it looked like the person was walking sideways, but then it looked like they were wearing a cloak.
Okay.
And they were walking with their head down.
Yeah.
But then it kind of raised into the sky. And like I said, from the feet, started kind of morphing into a circular shape and changing colour. It went to like an orange, yellow.
And what
It
did
was
you
the
think?
sun. It turned into the biggest, closest
How
brightest
big?
sun or moon, maybe moon.
How
I should
big?
say. Massive. I've never
Oh.
seen the moon closer to us than the moon, not sun.
Okay, a moon.
It was nighttime. It was pitch black at this stage, and this just came up.
And were
out of
you holding
nowhere.
your fella's hand thinking, what the hell is
The
this?
two of us were just staring. At my open.
Now, at one point,
Yeah,
isn't that
that's
extraordinary?
very interesting.
And at one point, did your fella turn to you and say anything
Yeah, we both thought it looked like Jesus,
interesting?
but to me, like I thought he was wearing a cloak. To him, at first it did, but then he was like, I think he's wearing work trousers. So it was still changing. It was, but we could see it clear as day.
Ah,
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
I can't even
yeah.
describe it. Like I don't know what it was. There's no explanation for it. But
Okay.
we
Yeah.
both seen the same thing.
Okay.
Right,
And how long? So it transforms from a man, or it gets beamed up, whatever. it transforms, it goes up into the air. How high up?
Not very high off the ground like this. It was the lowest, closest moon. That's what it seemed to turn into anyway.
Did it look round
Yeah.
and
Just,
solid?
yeah,
And what colour was it?
like a very deep, like orangey yellow colour. It was just so...
Orangey yellow.
Yeah.
So not the
Crazy for
silver
a
blue.
moon.
Yeah. And you keep calling it a moon, but
Oh,
you know
that's-
it wasn't a moon.
Yeah, it was very weird.
Did you think you were hallucinating?
No.
Because you both saw it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The idea of it being Jesus, were you full of love at any point? Did you feel, oh my God, this? No.
Just shocked.
And what about your partner?
He was the same. We've seen a lot of stuff together, and out of everything, this is one that still,
Bothers
like,
you?
yeah.
Was the dog barking?
Mm-hmm.
And was he barking in that direction? How long did it hang in the sky for?
I can't remember. We were just that shocked. We went in after a while, went back to sleep. Like,
Isn't it amazing that happens?
Absolutely.
It's amazing.
Very strange.
It's amazing that you see something extraordinary and you just go, well, I'm going to bed now.
Exactly.
So Richard Dolan talks, but do you know Richard Dolan?
I heard of him.
Yeah, he's an American, and he talks about this. You know, there's a guy who took a photograph of a UFO going behind the steeple of the village, and his wife is doing the gardening and she's looking at it and she gets disinterested. He does all the filming and then goes in, and then he said, I forgot about it. He said, now what would make you forget about a UFO?
I thought he's very interesting.
Now what he did was, when he went to reach for the camera a week later, he remembered, oh my God, I have footage of a UFO.
It's like us
And
keep
then-
on working with the silage and keep on going.
Yeah, there's something happens where you kind of get not destabilized, but your emergency response, flight or fight mechanism, obviously gets shut down on some level.
Is that to do with it? Do they have
Oh,
some
they
sort of
do.
capacity
They
to do
talk
that?
about this. This is something that comes up again and again, that
That's
they can interfere cognitively with us. So I am fascinated that you saw this. So this was the year
I think it was 21.
2021. Anything happen after that experience?